The first part of having a no bill or low bill lifestyle is to get rid of that darn debt. You got to get rid of that debt. It's holding you back. It's not allowing you to use the money that you go and work for every day. And so when you have debt, pretty much the reason you're working is to pay your debt. Why? Why are we doing this? I know that owning a home and paying for rent, I know that those are considered requirements, and you do have to live somewhere. That's a fact. But even there, you can adjust. You can choose a good path. So the first thing for doing any of this is getting out of debt. And so when you're in debt, again, most of your check, I shouldn't say that because I don't know your situation, right? But a portion, for sure, a portion of your check is going to go towards that debt. And that's not fair for you. That's not fair for all the time you have to spend at work. Some of you hate your job, which is even worse. Some of you love your job, which makes it feel a little better. But either way, you're spending time doing work to just give a creditor money. And as the Bible says, and as Dave Ramsey says over and over again, and again, I encourage you to go check Dave Ramsey out, but the borrower is slave to the lender. Think about that. Think about what that says. This is a verse in the Bible, and I'll have to pull up which verse it is because I'm not a Bible thumper. I don't have stuff memorized. I don't have a memory. So, but I'll try to see if I can post it down below. But the verse says, in so many words, it says, a borrower is slave to the lender. Imagine that. I don't want to be a slave. I don't want to be a slave to anyone. And so I'm not going to have debt because I don't want to be a slave. And I think that's fair. And I'm betting you probably don't want to be a slave either. And so you should probably get yourself out of debt if you're in debt. And so I talked about this the other day, but if you are in debt, work on getting out of debt as quickly as possible. Be intense about it. That's your priority in your life, is to get yourself out of debt. In order to do that, we're going to again start with the smallest debt and pay it off, and then move to the next smallest debt, pay it off, and so on and so forth. Any extra money you can come across, that is what's going to go toward that smallest debt. And this could be limiting what you're spending on a daily or weekly basis. So if you go and you pick up breakfast at the local donut shop every day on the way to work or whatever, let's see how much money we could save if we didn't do that, and instead put that money into an account that you can then pay off or work on paying off that smallest debt. Maybe you only have 2 or 3 debts. Maybe you only have 1 debt. Maybe you're only paying for a car and everything else you've got under control, no credit cards, no other nonsense, whatever the other nonsense is. Klarma, Credit-Wise or something, Care Credit, all these places are trying to get you to finance your life. You're buying a $10 t-shirt at Target or Walmart or wherever, and they're asking if you want to put it on payments. Why would you put a $10 t-shirt on payments? Why? I don't know. It's just so painful for me to even think about. And I apologize. That was my alarm. Sorry. And so what we want to do is get rid of that debt as quickly as possible. Because when you don't have the debt, then you can focus on paying off your house. Or, sorry, now my vacuum is starting. I don't know what's going on around here. It's craziness around here. Sorry. And I'm still sick, so that's awesome. You can tell I'm congested. But anyway, so if you are a renter and you have no intention of buying a house because you think it's too much responsibility, it's too expensive, it's too everything, then I want you to think about when you're 80-some years old and you don't have a job that's going to continuously give you money to pay that rent. Think about that. Think about how you're going to pay for that rental when you're 80-some years old, or whenever it is you're not going to work anymore, 70-something or 60-something. I think, what is retirement age these days? 65 or 66? I don't even know. But anyway, think about that when you're thinking about, well, I'll never get a house. If you buy a house, Most people will get a 30-year fixed mortgage. And that's fine if that's what you have to do in order to afford a home. That's, you can make it work. But imagine if you did a 15-year mortgage instead. Imagine that. So then in 15 years, you would own that house outright, and all you would have to pay is property tax. And usually property tax, I guess, of course, it depends on where you live. If you live in California, your property tax is probably $2 quadrillion. But if you live in, Omaha, Nebraska, it may only be a couple hundred or whatever. So think about that when you say to yourself, I don't ever want to buy a home. Because if you don't ever want to buy a home, you will always owe someone something for where you live. It'll always happen. Always. There's no other choice. So if you get yourself out of debt, and then you get your emergency fund built up, 3 to 6 months of emergency fund. Once you're comfortable, then you would raise a little bit more and get 6 to 12 months of an emergency fund. But after you've done that, after you've got your emergency fund saved, imagine being able to save enough or put in enough to pay off your home. Imagine what that would feel like. Imagine what it would be like to not have that $1,000 or $1,500 or $2,000 or $5,000 house payment every month. Imagine that. That's money in your pocket that you can keep. Imagine that. So that's what we're working toward. That's one of the bills that we do want to get rid of. The first couple of bills are your debt. So your credit cards and your car and all the little nonsense stuff that you don't need. All of that, we need to go ahead and pay that off so that you can eliminate as many bills as possible. Eliminate as many bills as possible. Why do we need so many bills? We don't. We absolutely do not. And so we may as well pay those off as quickly as possible. Okay, sorry. I had to go get a heating pad because I'm freezing to death. So anyway, I don't even remember where I was, but one of the best and quickest ways to have a no or low bill lifestyle is to get rid of your debt. Once you've gotten rid of your debt, you can begin investing. That's important. Oh, actually, make sure you have your emergency fund set up. 3 to 6 months for sure, 6 to 12 if you're comfortable, or if you have an unstable job or are in an unstable position in any way. And then after you've got your emergency fund, you're out of debt, then you want to start paying off your home if you own a home. If you're renting, again, I think I already talked about this, think about your renting and think if this is what you want to do forever is rent. I know that typically people don't want to do the work that is required when you own a home. And yes, it is a lot of work. And yes, there is stuff that can always go wrong. Absolutely. But I have been owning homes for many years, and it is a lot of work and it is expensive, but the properties are mine, so it's mine. And so it makes you want to take care of it. Like, I suppose, having a pet, right? You want to take care of them because they're yours. And then when you are out of debt, you obviously have to cut your expenses, keep your expenses low, and don't rack up a bunch of new debt, because it's the new debt that's going to make you continue to have bills forever. If you have no debt, the only thing you're going to pay for is just your basic necessities, your food, your water, your gas for your car, your electricity, or if you have solar panels, maybe you don't even have to pay for electricity, maybe. But anyway, so you want to not have all those extra bills of credit cards and nonsense like that, because again, all that's doing is taking money out of your pocket. You may as well keep that money in your pocket. Keep that money for yourself. It's only fair. And then most importantly, I think what is most important is once you have dug yourself out of the debt hole, and this can take a while, but once you've done that, and once you've gotten to that point of being out of debt, don't go back into debt. Just don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Because if you do that, you're going to end up right back where you were before. And most people don't want to be where they are before. So pay off your debt. And once you're out of debt, stay out of debt. It's vitally important. And I think people think that they have to have debt because there's so much in the world that we have to purchase. If everyone stopped worrying about what someone else was thinking, they probably wouldn't have to use their credit cards as much. Like if I never cared about how I look, how I dress, what purse I'm carrying, what shoes I'm wearing, I would never have to buy those things. I just wouldn't have to buy them. And when you're okay with not having to buy extra stuff just to impress somebody else, those people you're impressing, they don't care about you. They don't care nothing about you. And they may like your purse, they may like your coat, they may like your shoes, but they don't like you. They don't even know you most of the time. So why are you trying to impress them? It's useless. It's stupid. One thing that Dave Ramsey says a lot is, you're driving this expensive car, you're spending $1,200 a month on this expensive car just so that you can drive up to the stoplight and have someone look at you and like your car. But then you pull away and you never see that person ever again. There's no one to impress. There's no one to impress. Now, if you like a nice car and you're comfortable in it and you can afford it, have at it. But if none of that other stuff is true, if you're not able to afford it, and if you're not comfortable in it and all those other things, don't waste your money that way. I happen to like nice things. I'm not one of these super, like, I have to have a Alfa Romero or something like that. But I do like a nice car. So I do have a nice car, but I did pay cash. And so, when you don't have bills, there are definite benefits. I guarantee you there are definite benefits. And similar to what I spoke about the other day, if you're spending more than you're making, you'll never get ahead. And so if you're spending more than you're making, start there. Do a budget. Figure out where you can cut costs so that you can then end up paying off your debt, getting out of debt, and living without bills. It's the most freeing time ever when you can live without bills. I pay for my water, my electricity, my insurances, my prescriptions, and I think that's it. And then I have like the extra stuff, like the dog foods I get automatically sent to me from Amazon, that type of thing. And the farmer's dog is automatically subscription service. But you get to make those choices. You get to make those choices because you have money that you are making at your job. And that money doesn't have to go to some credit card because you wanted to buy, I don't know what, some home decor on a credit card. Like, just don't do it. I'm just telling you, just don't do it. So once you get yourself out of debt, stay out of debt. It's important. I promise you it's important. So I'm going to cut it short because I sound terrible. So I'm going to cut it short, but I sure hope that you can give the video a big thumbs up, leave a comment down below. Tell me if you're in debt. Are you in debt? Just say, yes, I'm in debt. No, I'm not in debt. I've been out of debt for 10 years or whatever. Or, yes, I've been in debt ever since I was 18 when I first got my first credit card and I just can't get out of it. Because that'll help inspire me to what the next subject will be to talk about. So anyway, thank you so much. Y'all have a great one.